The SM Media Podcast Network.
Let's go.
Hi, folks, and welcome to your latest episode of Golf Talk right here on SM Media. We are here to talk about all things golf in the world, and what a place to go. I think we're all spent after one of the most exciting weekends I think ever as a golf fan I've had in memory. To join me as always, it is always a delight to welcome Pro Lags Golf Club Andy Fullen.
Hi Scott, thanks for having me on. It was a pretty epic 4 days, but especially Sunday. The weekend, to be fair, was phenomenal. But yeah, no, delighted to come on and talk about it.
I don't know about you, right, but I am at the stage now where I'm struggling to stay awake for late nights. They're tougher. They're more. I was fine with it back in the day. Like I could manage it. Now it's just a struggle. Like Friday, I think I missed Friday night. I think I missed a wee bit of Saturday as well, just kind of dozing on and off. Sunday, though, there was nothing keeping me. Like, there was nothing to me. It was just so... You were knackered watching it, but you weren't missing it for the world. And I was almost... See when it got to the stage where you thought there might be a playoff, it almost kicked you into life again. And once it was over, the first thought I had was, I cannot miss Rory getting the green jacket. I cannot miss the green jacket going on, because I think that'll be one of the iconic images of this week, was Rory with the jacket, which we'll get into. But we've done the show for a few years, and I think we've had the same question after every year: when is he going to win a major? It was 10 years. Do you know what I mean? It was getting to the stage where we were like, is he going to win another one? But to do what he's done, it just feels good to not ask that question. When is he going to win another one? The question I've got now is how many? Because I think this was the monkey off his back that he needs. And I don't think, we were talking about it off air, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think right now at this point in 2020-25, I think this is the complete Rory McIlroy in terms of golfer. I think talent-wise, I think everything is clicked. And it would have been a real sore one. I think this would have been the real one. Like the US Open last year was tough to watch him go through that. I think if he certainly tried everything in his power to blow it. I mean, but he got it done. And that to me is like the culmination. I think career Grand Slam, only the sixth player, I think, to do it, first European.
Yeah.
Incredible achievement. And just brilliant. Just a brilliant story. Something I think the game of golf needs is Rory back at the top.
Absolutely. I mean, golf, the way it is just now, it's so fractured. Obviously, the splits there, which it definitely elevates the majors, because it's the only time you're getting them all together. But he is now... He is, I mean, rightfully, and if he wasn't before, but a genuine superstar. But I mean, prior to this week, I mean, really, it's so telling in the game of golf that Tiger Woods is still the main draw, unquestionably, especially in the States. Now he's probably almost kind of 3/4 retired. As much as it pains me to say it, I'm a huge Tiger fan, but he's done really, they're trying everything they can. They've got indoor golf. They're talking about, getting him a cart for the champions. It's almost like wheeling him out any time they can. Golf needs a superstar. And up to this week, Rory probably was the most recognisable player, but he hadn't won for 10 years.
Yeah.
So now he's almost elevated himself to that role of superstar. Because he is a genuine superstar now, and almost in the kind of Mount Rushmore of golf now. He's one of the only 6 guys in history. absolutely golf needed it, and going forward, you're absolutely right. It's a case of how many now, hopefully, and I hope he does go on to get another 2, 3, 4. I hope Bryson does as well. I hope the two of them go at it, and do create a genuine rivalry. That'd be phenomenal for golf. And I think we've heard kind of whispers that may be the case. Obviously their Pinehurst stuff. DeChambeau's come out and said, he didn't say a word to me and all that, which I think I take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. I don't think there's too much. If you're spending all your time chatting to your playing partner in the last round of a major championship, where you're going to the Grand Slam, I don't think you're winning it. So I think that was it was a strange dynamic that he said, and no doubt we'll talk about Bryson later, but absolutely, golf now has a genuine superstar, and let's just the monkey's off his back. He said in his press conference, the first emotion he felt was relief rather than joy. It was just relief. He's seen that. It all came pouring out of him. And I loved what he said at his press conference as well, where he sat down before he got asked any questions. He said, right, so what are we going to talk about next year?
And that's the thing.
And it's brilliant. I thought it was great.
No, that has been the thing.
That's why he's so relatable. That's why he's so relatable, because he knows he's probably. I said it in a pod. I heard it in a podcast where someone said he's probably the most self-aware elite athlete there is. He knows that people have been psychoanalyzing him for years. We know that this is the one he's been desperate to win. Shane Lowry said after it's all he talks about. Is winning at Augusta, and to have that burden, and it's only now after he won you realise the immense pressure he was under, and to pull it off, for hats off to him. I'm delighted he won. Absolutely delighted.
I text you during the week, I think before Thursday, and I said I thought him and Scotty were too short to back. Even I didn't fancy Scheffler just based on his form. We'll get into him later on. But to me, like Rory, I thought Rory at the Players' Championship was a massive step forward because, yes, it's the Players' Championship. We know it's not a major, but he showed a lot of grit to win that, come back in the playoff on Monday to win that. And I said, I think he's more complete now than he's ever been, but I think he could be at a stage where he could win this at like Sergio age. Do you know what I mean? Like he could just win it when you're least expecting him to. But to win it, and I still think I think he's in his prime.
100%,
absolutely in his culmination of everything into place. I think a lot of credit has to go to Harry Diamond, and I don't think I've been very critical of that partnership. But I want to cover that as well, maybe in a bit more detail in a minute. But looking at the Thursday, I don't want to go like round for round because the story of Rory I think could take us a while. The first round though, like he was in a very good position up until the 15th hole, and then like you were like, oh, this is bad, Rory. This is 2 double bogeys in the last 4 holes, and you're like, oh, that's him. First round gone, but watch him shine in the second, third, fourth day. But the difference was this year was that I think that galvanised him more than anything, to be honest, because I think he looked at the leaderboard on Friday and thought, I'm not out of this. And he put in a really good round on Friday, finished with 66, and was 2 shots behind. And if you'd said to him on Thursday night, you're going to be 2 shots behind in the second round, like, I think that would have been, he'd have took that in a heartbeat. Yeah. But that was a massive step forward for him as well. Like, I think that was a low round of the day, and that just galvanised him. And I thought for there, he was dynamite. I thought he was brilliant in Friday. I think he was actually better than Friday than he was any other day, just the way he took that. Because I thought the way in the Thursday to recover from that and the first day, that would have been a problem 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we saw on Saturday, Friday, it wasn't. He kicked on.
Yeah. And then to back it up as well, another 66 as well on Saturday was
6 straight threes in the first 6 holes.
I take your point. I think he was probably better on Friday. That was just a ridiculous start. I mean, that's never been done before.
The ego in the second, I think, like,
but that's
underrated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he just. it was just kind of, that was back to kind of freewheeling Rory.
Yes.
And almost, I think his last round was almost, it typified almost his full week, in the fact that in the first round, that you said, he had those two late double bogeys. Then in the last round, he double bogeyed the first. So again, he's up against it. But he said himself that almost relaxed him in a bizarre way, because he knew then. I was talking to people before the final round, and they'd said, "Oh, Bryson just wouldn't go away." One of the boys said, "Actually, he's like a migraine, just won't go away," and that's what it was like. And they hold that long putt, and I thought to myself, but that could be beneficial, because Rory knows he has to go and win it.
He was so nervous before the first hole,
and then after two holes he's behind, and then it almost kind of galvanised him a little bit. But some of he spoke a lot about how resilient he was, and that was throughout his career, and I think that was typified no more than this entire week, but especially in his last round with some of the positions he got himself in and got them out with brilliance. And yeah, it was just he's been the best player all year, and that's the other thing. And if you look at the last few events, the last few major Masters winners, Rahm, when he went in and won it, was the best player up to that point of the season. Scheffler last year was the best player, and so it's starting to be a bit of a pattern that the kind of old kind of adage that you didn't want to win too much before, you don't want to peak too soon. I think that's been proved a wee bit the opposite of that. Almost, you want to be going in there at the top of your form, because the form guys have tended to do really, really well. But fully deserved, and like you say about being a rounded player, I think that's a great point, because to be honest, even when he won the Players, I wasn't hugely impressed. It wasn't a typical Rory win.
Mm-hmm.
It was, like you say, very well rounded, not very explosive, just kind of almost doing enough. Even when he won at Pebble Beach, it wasn't explosively brilliant. It was just there, solid, got the job done. And if he can add that to his game, we've seen the natural talent come out of him at 15 with that shot round the tree. I mean, that is him. That if you're to think of Rory McIlroy, you think that's the kind of shot, because
it's a perfect summary, because he misses the putt as well.
Exactly.
He does the hard bit.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that was almost putting your foot through the telly moment right there as well with that. But that's just how if he can have that in the locker, as well as being disciplined and all the rest, then I totally agree. Statistically, this is the best. The last 18 months has been the best golf he's played in his career. It's sustained period. So he is in his absolute prime. And again, we will talk about it, but it'll be really, really interesting to see where he goes from here, going forward.
But like you mentioned, obviously the shot at 15, like we have, there's a couple of holes I want to touch on before we touch on the 15th and 18th, which I think are probably the two holes we'll remember. The 7th, the shot at 7, I think is going to go. I know he misses the putt as well, but that is, it was just incredible that the way that worked. That is, I always say the 7th is the hardest hole. If you're not in the green, if you don't hit the green with your second shot, you're not getting out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so to find that shot at that moment as well, Bryson was obviously beginning to kind of dip at that point.
Yeah,
that to me felt at that point I was like, only he can beat himself now. Famous words.
I know.
But, like the way he got that, managed to just keep going. 9 and 10, obviously, just birdies both, and then you're thinking, right, it's done. I mean, I think I looked at the betting. I think he was 1-16. And I was like, he can't throw this away from here. And then he gets to the 13th hole.
He was lucky at 11 as well. I never went in the water.
I think Bryson as well. Yeah, he was lucky. But Bryson, I think after that, like we'll get into Bryson later on, just in terms of what he was. Some his iron play all week was deplorable, but he managed to get away with it with scrambling. But Rory, I think at the 13th, like I would love to know. I would love to sit him down and just go, "What were you doing? Like, what was going through your head?" Like,
it's almost that's. I mean, it's almost like when he's. It's obviously not as simple as this because he's a world class legendary golfer now, obviously, but he's like that footballer that's got too much time to think about it, and then they'll miss. It's almost like that's why that was an absolute inexplicable shot, and we'll come to his second shot at 18 as well, which I don't think we spoke enough about at the time. I couldn't believe how poor a shot that was. But the one at 13, I mean, it would almost have made more sense if he just flat out duffed it or he thinned it over the green, because that's a technical error.
What do you think he tried to do? Like, what was?
I think someone I read. I don't know if I read somewhere. I listened to it. They were trying to say that it was in a very slight upslope, and he didn't want to. He felt he was going to. It was almost like obviously the ball's on an upslope. It's it turns out a kind of draw swing, or your swing is a bit flatter, and you're trying to close the club face a bit. So he'd actually aimed almost a bit right of the pin to try and accommodate that. But you go anywhere left of that pin, gathers down into the. You've seen it all day with guys hitting long irons in. Slightly long and left, you're catching the slope and you're coming back down. So his margin for error was huge to the left. I think he's just completely overthought what he's trying to do. And
look at Sungjae Im, who I think quite underrated that week. Look at the way he plays the 13th. I know he's in a different position, but goes left and the slope just brings it down and he eagles it.
Yeah, aye. I mean, he got lucky there as well was it Saturday? I think it was Friday or Saturday. When he made eagle for the pine straws because he blocked that a little bit. He was lucky he went with one more club, but just inexplicable. And at that point, you're thinking that surely not. And he then bogeyed 14 as well. And then I just think when it came to the 15th, he had a great tee shot, slightly unlucky, or again a wee bit left, slightly unlucky where it ended up. But we're talking about his caddy, but I literally just thought that was like, it was almost like, again, using a football analogy, it's like your star player just going, look, just give me the ball. I'll do something with it here. I'll take this bit of scruff in it. It was almost just like, whatever Harry said, you can just picture him saying, just give me the 7 iron. I'm just hitting this shot.
Eben Ireland as well, incredible.
That'll be an iconic. I mean, that is probably not up there with Tiger's chip in. That is the most iconic Masters shot for me. But that goes up alongside Phil out the pine straw, Faldo's 2 iron. That is an iconic Masters shot. To have the talent to pull that off and the nuts at that time, to be fair. It's just an incredible shot. And his shot in there on Saturday was incredible, but that was even better. To bend it is, I think that's when I'm not a non-golfer, but someone who hasn't played a lot of golf, a casual golf viewer, cannot appreciate how good that shot is. I mean, to have that amount of hook in the ball and control your spin, and for it to land soft with a 40-yard hook, it's Tiger-like. That's the best comparison, I would say. The only other person I think who could pull that off would be Tiger in his prime.
Yeah,
really.
And obviously gets there. He's tied for the lead with Rose at that point. Then goes 2 ahead with the birdie in 17. And you're thinking at that point, Rose, again, another person we'll touch on, but 18 puts himself in a perfect position at the second for his second shot. And again, it's like, I don't know what, to me, it's just a gap wedge and let it come down.
He's tried to draw it in. And you're just thinking to yourself, I mean, like I said, I couldn't believe that. I don't know whether it was just, I can't remember what I was doing if I left the room or whatever at that point, and just disbelief, but I didn't pick up the commentators. I don't know whether it was because it was such a simple bunker shot that was literally just get it out and it'll roll down to the hole. But I thought he got. They didn't. They didn't really. Whether they were in shock, but that was such a poor shot. I mean, he's 125 yards. Like you said, gap wedge. It's straight. Everyone knows the slope as
And
well.
his wedge play was unbelievable.
Yeah,
From that
and that's
distance,
really
it was
improved
so
on.
impressive all
Yeah.
week. And
It's just
that
nerves. It's got to be nerves.
it must
Or
be.
overthinking, or just whatever. I don't want to miss this left, and he's just hung it out there a little bit. And but he's got so much. Again, we know that the beauty of Augusta is all the slopes. We see all the. We've seen a million shots from there land and then roll back down, as he did in the playoff. But he just wasn't doing it the easy way at all, was he?
Can I just say, before we touch on like Rose and Alberg and players like that, the one thing I took from the week as well was excellent. Was see when they were cutting to the crowd when they were doing the leaderboard. And that was amazing. You only get that at Augusta. Do you know what I mean?
Total throwback. In no other sport would you get that.
There's a brilliant story as well. Do you know Jamie Weir at Sky?
Aye.
He was. I think he was on Sky, and he was phoning his dad in Ireland to get info on Rose while he was following Rory. I think they were at the 15th, and I think was that when Rose.
Because he would need to go to the call box thing as well.
Yeah, so they were going. So they were like 10, like just crazy in 2025. That's what you're doing. But again, it's just the beauty of Augusta. But Justin Rose, Justin Rose laid the marker in the first 2 days, but an incredible showing in the fighting in the back nine to put himself in the position. Like rolling back the years, I always think Justin Rose. Like I always look at the kind of the four English golfers kind of around about that time, like Donald, Westwood, throw Casey in there as well. Rose was the major winner, but I would always say Rose was the one that was least expected to be the major winner. But to do that, he nearly won the Open. He was so close in the Open as well.
After having to qualify for the Open as well.
Like, going back the years, I think he's an absolute certainty Ryder Cup now.
Oh yeah, definitely would be. He would be in. I think, especially where you're playing, you're going to you're going to
Bethpage Black,
and it's going to be pretty raucous. It's going to be pretty intimidating. I think he's the kind of calm kind of head you probably want and about there, especially because it could possibly be quite a young team. But to be, I think it would see if he. I think it'd have been hugely bittersweet if he had, even for him, if he had been the guy to win the Masters to deny Rory. I think it had the perfect ending where he did nothing wrong. Even in the playoff, he had 2 great shots, great tee shot, great second shot, just missed the putt, and obviously Rory picked it up. But yeah, incredible final round. 10 birdies in the final round there.
24 birdies out of 72 holes. One third of his holes he birdied. Like
crazy, absolutely crazy. He'll rue the putt at 17.
Yeah.
However, he hold a 30-footer down the slope at 18, so it kind of evens it out a little bit. But the only man who's been beaten twice in a playoff, I think, at Augusta. The next question should be, hopefully he wins. He if there's anyone that deserves one, it's him. I always used to feel Ernie Els was due a green jacket. He had a few close misses, but Rose, he can't really speak highly enough of him. He was fantastic. Carried himself really well after it as well. He's I know it's a bit of a golfing cliche, but he has a complete class act.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he carried himself very well. As you know, there was a wee bit kind of down the back nine where my wallet was influencing my mind, because I was like, of course I want Rory to win. Like, I go back to 2007 at Carnoustie when I first saw Rory in person, and I thought, there's something about you kind of thing. And I remember that day, I think he had a 66, I think the first day. I don't think he was leading, but there was a point where he was just the talk of Carnoustie. And like 2 years after that, at Turnberry, watching him, and just the way he kicked on, and thinking your day's going to come. And like he was the early guy for me. Like he was the next guy for Tiger. But there was also a part of me going, Ludwig Åberg's not out of this. And I think I texted you that. I think I texted a couple of my mates that. all begs out of that, he's a freak. 2 Masters appearances, second last year on his first one. Kind of blew it at the 18th. I think that was just his...
Yeah. I mean, he'll go down this year as seventh, but he was better than that. I mean, he was 2 shots back. I think he's maybe tried to hold his second shot or something. It's cost him $700,000 right now.
Yeah. Did he hit the lip? I think
he hit the lip. I don't think he'll be too fussed about that, but certainly
he's a winner in waiting until he'll win. He'll win one more sooner rather.
I think the only and we talk about himself, Scheffler as well. These guys, they're just built for Augusta. I mean, I think the only with Ludwig, I think it's not even really a weakness, but I think his chipping is possibly something that could be improved. But the difficulty there is he hits his iron. He really misses the greens. His iron play is so strong, so good.
He put himself in a really good position and didn't putt all Sunday.
Aye, he
was off it as well.
Iron wise, he wasn't actually great with his irons this year, and he was still right there. You know, I thought it was really telling with him on the full swing that on Netflix. In one of his interviews, he said he really regretted the 11 last year when he made double bogey. He went for it, he pulled it in the water. And this year he was behind the tree, and he basically just wedged it over the tree and laid up. I think he made 4. So for me, that shows a real maturity there as well. That's maybe dangerous for the other players, but he's definitely he's like built in a lab for Augusta. You know, he's like a PlayStation golfer for Augusta. You know, if you're building that for the PlayStation game, you've done every single little thing that he's got. You know, he's different class.
I think we're all like, if you'd said to me 3 years ago, Bryson DeChambeau is going to be one of the most popular players in the world, you would have been like,
aye.
But you can't not be like appreciating just what he's done, how he's kind of turned himself around. Mm-hmm. I text you at some point as well. I'm like, he's the one I cannot see holding here because his iron play was horrendous all week. But what was getting away? His putting was holding off some of his, like he was holding putts the first 3 days, but then on Sunday, I just thought he can't maintain this. His iron play, like look at the shot in the 11th. I think just sums up his week, his day. Like I thought he was really credible the first 3 days. I thought some of his stuff around the greens was very good, but to me, like I can see him winning more majors. I just don't think he'll win a Masters. I don't think that iron play will hold.
I don't. The only thing I think it was definitely it was very poor. I mean, I think it was McGinley that said in the broadcast he was out of the guys that made the cut. He was second last in proximity to the hole or something like that. And he was literally tied for the lead or something at that point, which is a ridiculous stat. And he hit 1,000 balls as well. Do
you think he tired in the last day? I was going to ask you that. Do you think that was just fatigue?
Well, somebody mentioned that to me, and I thought, nah, these guys are super. But 1,000 balls at his speed, and you're like,
there was a brilliant style of all the like flight scope stuff, and I was like, that's crazy.
That's mental. It's just a blob. You just seen all the shots. I mean, the way I'll look at Bryson as almost like, see right now, he's like that pal that's not got any kids or not got any wife. Do you know what I mean? It's just golf. That's him. It's just golf. Whereas all the other players like Rory, Scott, they're almost like the kind of grown ups, if you know what I mean. And I think that sounds really. I think see when that kind of happened, I don't know how that dynamic will change. It might help him, but I think what he's doing for golf is fantastic. You know, the YouTube stuff and all this is personally, I've watched that a little bit. I mean, the one where he's hitting it over his house, I mean, that's just you just had to watch that, and it was someone's like day 36, and he's still, you're like, right, come on, you're wanting to do it so you didn't have to watch it, but you were so compelled to watch it.
See the one he did with obviously Donald Trump, and again, you can say what you want about Donald Trump, and I'm not going to say like anything other than this, but Donald Trump is the sort of person who can, like, he has that aura that can just everybody can be a bag of nerves round about him, right? Bryson DeChambeau is full of confidence round about him, and that to me is like that's quite strange thinking of the kind of mad scientist, the guy who was, go back to the Koepka stuff where like everybody was siding with Koepka in that whole kind of debate. But now, like, just the kind of presence he had to kind of not be shy in front of like the president, I thought was incredible. And then what he's done for the game, the YouTube kind of dynamic as well. It's turned a lot of golfers, it's turned a lot of fans who couldn't stand him around.
Yeah.
Like,
aye, and I think, you've seen it definitely at Pinehurst. Again, the support was with him rather than Rory.
Oh, definitely.
Again, it's a little bit more kind of more blue collar crowd than you get at Augusta. There's the whole historical thing. I'm no doubt.
Even at Troon, there was a lot of people. There's a lot of youngsters looking like. I remember walking down the 7th, I think it was. See the bit when you get from between the 6th and the 7th.
Yeah,
we can abridge. There was a lot of people queuing for Bryson. I can't remember who he was playing with, but there was a lot of people queuing for him. And a lot of young people.
Ludwig. He's playing with Ludwig. Certainly, when I seen him, it was Ludwig, and I can't remember who else. But
it was a practice. I can't remember what day it was, but I was like, you're like, I can't believe this, because I remember I think 20. I can't remember the one. I think it was the one before COVID, and like wasn't he? There's nobody watching him. Like, do you know what I mean? So he's incredible what he's done. Scotty Scheffler, not his best. I think he's nowhere near his best. Still finishes 4th. Like,
I think with him going forward, though, I think last year there's a couple of question marks for me with him, because, and it's so easy to get so high and so to question. He's not a great year, but he's still. He's finished there 4th without, what you say, really doing anything. Almost, you didn't see a lot of him in the coverage. He's finished, a couple of putt strokes for him, and he's right there. He's an Augusta specialist, that I've said, but I think there's going to be a few questions going forward now that McIlroy's answered his question, and there's always a narrative in golf and stuff, and I think it's the likes of, well, okay, he's got 2 majors, but it's 2 Masters. He's not got any other majors. And I think, okay, he got arrested last year, which is a little bit of an interest. But I think that's going to start being a bit of a thing, because, like I said, there needs to be a narrative, needs to be a thing. And I think he's under a bit of pressure. And almost as well to kind of back up his phenomenal year last year as well. I think we've seen a wee bit of a different side to him, a bit of frustration, I think it was at the players, he was getting a little bit annoyed with a few things. I think I read somewhere in the past, as a junior, he had a really, really bad temper, and he really worked on keeping it in check. And I think it's something to watch. I think he'll win more events this year, I'm absolutely certain, because he's such he's world number 1. He's going to be for a while, I think. But I think there's certainly a question mark coming, probably. If he doesn't win a major this year, there will be question, because back around to Augusta, can you only win at Augusta kind of thing.
That was somebody was talking about, I think it was actually No Lane Up that we're talking about this. They were saying, like, now, as you say, I think they had said, like, what Rory said, like, what he's going to talk about now, like, what is the biggest story in golf at the moment? It is probably, can Scotty Scheffler win a major outside of Augusta? Can Jordan Spieth win a Grand Slam? That doesn't look possible at the moment, but still a big story. But Scheffler, I think, is, like, last year was, definitely since Tiger, I think probably the best season.
Consistent for consistency, absolutely. It was just every time he teed it up, he thought he was going to win. But it's something to certainly look at going forward, and again, that'll put pressure on him and see how he handles it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just a couple of wee things, obviously, like before we can go into like predictions for the rest of the year and what we can see happening. We did obviously mention about Harry Diamond. Now, when Rory announced that he was parting with JP Fitzgerald and bringing in Harry Diamond, not a lot of people, nobody really knew who Harry Diamond was. They just knew he was Rory's pal. That was what he was brought in as, was Rory's pal. And I think particularly, I remember like Billy Foster was mentioned a lot. Do you remember when, like a couple of years ago, it was Rory needs Billy Foster, and that to me was like, right, to go to that next level, can you have your pal there? Like all the great winners, I would even throw Scotty in this as well. I don't think Scotty wins two majors without Ted Scott.
No,
I really
definitely
don't.
not around Augusta.
Like
not at the Masters.
Tiger with Steve Williams, even Jack Nicklaus. Like if he didn't have Angelo, he wouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? Like it's you don't need a friend as a caddy. You need a business partner.
Yeah,
but I think Harry Diamond is the unsung hero of this tournament because I go back to when they were in the buggy going towards the first at the 18th for the first hole, and he says you would have taken this on Monday.
I was going to
I was
say
like,
that.
that's incredible. Like to say that, like it just instantly, I think there you were like,
it's a reset. It's a complete reset.
And you saw what he does in the 18th. He just puts that second shot. He does exactly what he should have done the hole before.
Yeah,
and to me, that's just brilliant caddying.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I've been the same as you. I've kind of, I think it's because you're searching for trying to find what is the missing link.
Yes.
What's missing here? He's got all the talent in the world. He's got himself in position. So naturally, you think of coach, caddy. You start thinking about these things. Again, listen to us and all up as well a lot, and it's great. But one of the guys here they're talking about Harry Diamond and similar veins that you said, an unsung hero of this. But I think when you look at the type of player and kind of person, Rory, he is an emotional player. You've seen that. The way he plays, the interviews he gives, he's far too open sometimes with people.
I think that was his issue the past couple of years with the Live thing was like at times you were like just kind of rein it in a wee bit. I get what he was doing, but there was times you were just like you're saying too much here and you're not doing the right thing.
It could now be that, and again, it's more experience for Harry as a caddy, but I think as well, he maybe what we're only seeing Rory on the golf course. We're not seeing Rory off the course, travelling, everything else that goes into being I mean, these guys are what a lifestyle they've got. Let's not kid ourselves, but it's been a lot of time there, and to just have a person that carries your bag who's a super caddy. If you don't have that gel, that relationship, Billy Foster spoke about it with Fitzpatrick. He knew it was kind of coming when, and he said that Fitzpatrick was when he said to him, he said he was almost like shaking, and he knew it. He's like, look, I know it's over. Don't worry about it. We've had a great run, and it's having that kind of dynamic. And I think. Again, listening to Steve Williams, he's got a book out, and he was saying about one of the podcasts about with Tiger, and they were super close, and it was difficult for Tiger initially, but then he got super close, and I think at the very, very, very top level, you need someone not just to carry your golf bag, and I think that's where you've seen how emotional he got when Rory mentioned Harry in his press conference. He kind of broke down, and because he'll realise what people are saying about him as well. And it might, the other thing that endears them to you, it might not be the perfect relationship. They might have flaws together, but they're in it together. And that's what's and this will only do him. You've got to raise his confidence as well. So no, I'm pleased for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we say, it's a monkey off the bat for Rory. It's again just how impressive his talent is that he's done the Grand Slam. Like we'll get into like what we can see him doing the rest of the year, there's a lot of talk, is he the greatest European golfer of all time? I don't think you can make that argument at the moment, because you can't say that. You can't do that before he retires. Like, we'll talk about Bernard Langer. I think Langer maybe deserves a mention in that regard, but to me, it's very difficult to make that argument at the moment, because there is so much more he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, he's. I mean, the comparisons from now and forward, probably Mickelson's a good comparison, because even though this is Rory's fifth, I think I read somewhere that he's the same age as Mickelson when Mickelson won his first. I think, or certainly around about mid-30s. And I think that's a really good comparison, because although this isn't Rory's first for 10 years, that was Mickelson's first. And he certainly went on, on a good run and won a few more. So I can certainly see Rory doing that. But it's an age-old argument, isn't it? Who's the best in certain eras, and where would he play in it? It's a fun conversation, but it's so difficult to golf. I mean, I would argue that the strength, the way the equipments went, the way the fitnesses went for players, this is as hard a period as it is to win probably a major. So, whereas when Tiger's absolute heyday, you got David Duval was the one who, if he'd kept fit, would have been a great. Actually, he could have been the one. He was the one Tiger really kind of looked at and respected. He didn't respect Phil at all initially, but people used to melt on the leaderboard with Tiger when Tiger was there, and he didn't even have to really play his best golf. It's not like that anymore. Nobody's scared. Look at Leitzer Ludwig. He's not scared. He's playing in his fifth major, and he's trying to hold his second shot to win it at the last. He's not playing for second or third. No. He doesn't care. He's just trying to. These guys are, and there's more of them coming. The boy Luke Clanton as well, coming out of university. These guys are coming out and they're ready to go, and it's so difficult. That's why part of me thinks Rory will go and win 4 or 5 or whatever, and then other things think it'd be if he does 2 or even a couple more, maybe 3, would be a phenomenal career. That takes him to what Gary Player levels of career.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and then you get guys like Rose coming out, still doing it at 45.
Yeah. And you can do that now. Like, again, the way equipment's meant, the ability to kind of take care of your body as well. Like, there's still Phil won. What age was Phil when he won 2 years ago? Like 49, like
49 or 50.
Still you can do it, and like just a wee mention on one player who played at his final Augusta, final Masters, obviously won 2, Bernard Langer. Tremendous. I really had a wee bit of a kind of lump in my throat when you were watching him coming down the back 9, because you were thinking, is there a way he can finish? I think he finished 3 over. Is there a way he can? I think the cut went 2 over, and I was just like, but
he missed like an 8-footer. I think that was a fitting way for him to go out, because
his family was there as well.
Yeah, and you don't really. It's almost another tour out. I mean, he was somebody that played with him. Can't remember who it was, but they'd said that. I mean, he'd hit some 9 hybrids or something into like for his second shot, 9 or 10. It was mental to shoot 3 over. It's crazy. But he's competitively sharp because he's still playing at such a Champions Tour. But I think it was fitting, because the last thing you want is to see him limping around shooting too high number. By the time you get to 4th day, it's a hell of a walk for these guys as well. And as fit as he is, he's 65 or something. I mean, that was a fitting way. Just missed the cut, be fully respectable. And again, go back to what I said, but just a absolute class player. And it's fascinating when you look at his life, having been born in Czechoslovakia, then taken into Germany, and really zero golf at all, and anywhere, and he just kind of stumbled across it. And what he's done is winning Ryder Cup captain. What a career he's had,
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
We were mentioning Rory, we're mentioning the rest of the year. He has history at Quail Hollow, won 4 times. Like, certainly, like I thought at the start of the season, if you'd said what major would he win, I would have said before the Masters of PGA. I think it's all that was his last major. It all looks to kind of be falling into place. But now he's going in there with absolutely not no pressure, but he's going in there with that monkey off his back, a Grand Slam winner, and again the game's just there, and you think he could win again.
Oh, he could, absolutely. I mean, again, I go back to this kind of freewheeling, this kind of, that's when he's always played his best golf, when he's got that, kind of handbrake off, and he can just go. And of course, he'll probably be set up slightly differently, but the PGA don't tend to US Open courses. They don't tend to grow the rough. They tend to allow. They don't tend to kind of mess up the greens around. They tend to kind of allow low scores. So I don't think he could have handpicked a better course for his next major. It all depends what he does between now. I know he's pulled out of Harbour Town, which they all do if they win. Really, I think they don't have
Scheffler won it last year, but I think obviously Rory said he was going home to see his family as well.
That makes sense. Aye, absolutely. So it depends what his schedule will be leading up to it. But certainly he will be overwhelming favourite, I would imagine, going into that. But yeah, it'll be. It'll certainly be. At this moment in time, it is hard to see past them. To be honest,
And then he heads home to Ireland for Portrush.
Yeah,
so
I know. Stars are aligning a little bit.
It is. It's like it's one of those.
Again, the pressure there the last time really got to him.
Yeah.
And if he's in contention, the place will be going absolutely.
I remember somebody in the shop. I will always go back to this. When 2019, I'd said I think we were doing a thing like who do you think will win the Open, and they said it will either be Rory or it'll be Lowry. I always go back. I'd love to meet that guy again because I was like, you must have the lottery numbers or something. You must. But do you know what I mean? Like it was that aligned, and you just feel now playing in front of his family. Like last year was a perfect example. Shoffley got the monkey off his back winning the PGA, and then look how cool was he when he won the Open.
Yeah,
like do you know what I mean? Like it is about just getting that big one
and momentum. It's a keep it going. It's. That's a good bit. I think. I mean, Shoffley, he's
done very well this week. Yeah,
he did. He's been struggling. He's not had a good season so far as well. But I mean, talking a Grand Slam, I mean, he's got a great record at Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
He need a great US Open record as well. To be fair, so he's got I certainly see him before Spieth. I know he's got 2 to win Shoffley, but I see him before Spieth making a run at that. But again, Jordan was a decent week as well. But it's certainly it just sets it up. Great Ryder Cup here as well. Just sets it up brilliantly for the rest of the season with Rory winning there, to be fair.
Yeah, and we've mentioned like Quail Hollow and Portrush, but we also like the US Open's the one out of the 4 you're thinking, it's maybe not the best chance. He's finished in the top 10 the last 6 times and even second the last 2 years. Like so he's
and he's shooting LACC, that's the one that was the kind of one he probably should have, that was when Wyndham Clark won it, and
he was in
I
think he should have won that.
He should have won that. So yeah, I mean, it goes back to the one of the first points you made. He's a far more well-rounded player. He drives it great. His wedge play's improved. He's always been a great iron player. Again, he putted well this week, but there's always that. I think that's the one aspect where it's his ball striking has really kept him in it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't putt maybe quite. I mean, certainly not like Pete Tiger. You don't think of him in that bracket, but that's maybe the one aspect he could really, if he gets that going, similar to Scheffler, to be honest. He's the same. Whereas Shoffley is a tremendous. It's his putting that really won him. His two majors, his putting was phenomenal. So that's something to keep an eye on. But it's set up brilliantly. So I can't wait for this season.
We've got an excellent year ahead. We will be back. We'll be doing a few more shows between now and the end of the year. Andy, thank you very much for joining me this week, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thanks very much for having me on. Just brilliant. Just great to talk about something so historic.
Yep, absolutely. Grand Slam Rory is king now, so enjoy that. If you want my golf selections this week, obviously they're on the site. We've got RBC Heritage China Open this week, and we'll be here right through the rest of the year. So thank you very much, folks. We'll see you all soon.